Alright folks, in this video we're going to start working with modifications to things that you make using some of the tools that you already have. For example, let's say that in this design that we've done in the past that for some reason or another we need it notched, and we need it notched perhaps like this, where this part is just chopped off at a certain distance from the corners. And that's actually pretty easy to do. Now you may think, well, can we use the chamfer to do this? And the problem is, where this is rounded like that, the chamfer won't behave very correctly. But that's not a problem for us because we can just sketch the cut itself. So I'll click on Create New Sketch here. I select this face, and I'm going to simply draw a triangle. I'm going to draw a triangle that does this, back to here, and down. Now what I'm going to try to do though is create a dimension from here to this intersection point. But you see it's not exactly working. So I need to find a way to create an intersection point. So what I'll do is actually draw maybe a construction line that goes from somewhere along here, which is fine, straight up. Now I have a potential intersection point. So I click it there, hit the dimension. I want to choose, well, it's where I drew it down. Let me try that again. Okay. So now I have a line there. We'll go back to Dimension Tool, click there, and see if it finds the intersection. Notice that it's not. So that process doesn't work. It's not seeing what I want it to see. So I'm going to try another trick. I'm going to go to Create. I'm going to Project Include and say Project. This is going to allow me to specifically lock onto things or tell the software I'm really interested in that edge right there. And I say OK. And so now, see these purplish dots? That means something's happening there. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck this one from being construction line because it needs to be a real line. So I click it and I uncheck it over here and it goes back to solid. So let me try the Dimension Tool again. We'll click there and there. Still not getting it to latch onto. Something's just not working for me. Maybe if I try to draw a line through it or draw a line straight down. Still not happening. So I'm running into a situation where I'm not able to lock on to what I want to lock onto. So I'm faced with the dilemma of, well, what do I do? How do I make this work? Well, one of the solutions is just to get rid of the original triangle. And let's try it this way. Let's draw a line straight up, not be construction line. Let's draw a line straight up and type in, let's say, 15, and just let the line sit there. Then I'm going to draw a line straight. I don't want that line. Get rid of that. There we go. Now I'm going to draw a line straight from this corner, but you'll notice that it's not letting me click on it. I need to go in and choose my Project Include again. Let's get that top surface. There we go. Hit OK. Now I'm going to draw a line from here this way, and let's just say that it's going to be 22. So now I have a dimension line from here to here. I have a dimension line from there to there. And now what happens, I can probably click on this point, and I have a perfectly aligned edge. Now to finish it off, I'm going to click my line tool again and just draw the triangle or some kind of shape that closes around it. Doesn't really matter how big, just as long as it's bigger than the object. And I now have something to lock onto. Hit Finish Sketch. And I'm going to hit Extrude, and I'm going to select that area and that area. And instead of me just grabbing and dragging it through, I'm going to come over and tell it to choose Symmetric. And I'm just going to set it to 15. That way, no matter where the line was created, it's going through both sides. And I hit OK. And we have sliced our object. And the best part is we can go back and change by going down to the timeline. I can go back and change the location of that line by just adjusting this. For example, I could set it to 25 and it freaks out on me. Let's try that again. There we go, goes down. So I set it to 12 and it goes downhill like it's supposed to, and that's fine for our purposes. Okay? Why don't you pause the video and recreate what I've done. Go into a sketch and draw the lines from the base up and the corner over. That way you can have your triangle locked onto and then slice it off. Pause the video and do that now, please. Alright, so what we've learned with this process is that you can actually use objects to cut other objects when you can't get a tool to work before you. And it's not uncommon for us to do approaches this way, to make a completely rectangular or circular based feature and then go back and actually cut things out. So for example, you can think of it like cutting a pie. We could design a pie or circle real fast and then design in something to be a chopping component to actually edit out or delete out what we don't need of the object. Very common way for us to create more complex shapes if we can't get them to behave the way we want to on the front end. Alright, so there's a good example. Save your work, and we'll see you on the next one.